Welcome to Busted Speakers. Today we're gonna review Sepultura's Machine Messiah. Sepultura is a very wide range group. They've done anything from groove, thrash, death, alternative, and black metal in their discography. They're formed in 1984, and this is their 14th studio album. Personally, I think so. I've been a Sepultura fan for however long, since I started listening to metal music more often, and I really like their older stuff. But I really couldn't. I think this album, it's not what they could do. I think they can do so much better. I feel like a lot of these songs were getting very, very similar, and I felt like there is just not much going on in this album. I guess individually the songs are fine, like listening to one at a time. But if you're gonna listen to it sequentially, I think there's a need to at least put some sort of variety. And a lot of the songs are just way too similar for me to like thoroughly enjoy this album like I do the other ones.
I completely agree that this sounds too similar for most of the songs. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't like this album very much. I think this is what people who don't like metal hear in metal: trashy, brutal, oppressive, inaccessible. It doesn't sound good. It's in your face. It probably doesn't help that this is the first Sepultura album I've ever heard. So I'm going to take that into account, that maybe I'm ill-prepared to listen to this somewhat, but just right now I agree completely. Kush, and I probably liked it less than you.
Yeah, I kind of agree with both of you, but I think I said last week that I have almost no experience in metal. I also have no experience with Sepultura, but I did actually like this album more than I expected to, at least the second time around, because for one thing I was able to hear the lyrics better. Like the first time through it mostly just sounded, like screaming, and I just couldn't make much out. But then the second time through I picked up on more things, and kind of like with the Pain of Salvation, things that I liked the most about this were probably the things that were the least metal about it. Like I really liked the percussion stuff that they had opening up one song, and the strings with it too. That was, I think they were kind of Eastern influenced, and then another song, I think Alethea opened with some flamenco guitar that was really nice, good for variety. But yeah, I do think that there was less variety overall on this album than there was on like the Pain of Salvation, with some more acoustic songs throughout that one. But overall I did enjoy it, and I do think this could be like a gateway into similar, possibly better albums for all I know.
So for me, I agree that there were some good songs, like Alethea, I think that's how you say it. Alethea was good. I enjoyed Iceberg Dances and Sworn Oath were probably my favorite songs in the album. One song that I absolutely hated was the very last one, the Ultra 7 No Yuta, or I don't know how to pronounce it. I think it's a Greek.
You want to hear what I wrote in my notes? It was the last song, so it was the last thing I wrote. It's WTF even is Ultra 7 No Yuta, in caps. So
yeah, that song confused me because they had the decent metal vibe, like just a decent metal album, and this last one was like, they sounded very punk rock like, not really metal, just maybe hardcore punk sort of, and the vocals were just god awful. And I don't know if you've seen the show Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy.
A little bit, yeah.
You know that one character,
yeah.
Fred Burger?
Oh my god. I've got a friend who does impressions of him all the time, and it's just the best or the worst.
That is what his vocals sounded like. I was just so confused on why that song was even put in the album.
The weird thing is, this is the only song on the album where, what's his name, the vocalist, Derek?
Yeah.
It was the only time his vocals actually impressed me. Maybe it's because I've become desensitized to Fred Fredberger's type of vocals from my friend. But I don't know, I think he had a pretty good tonal range, and when the hook came in, or whenever he slowed down to kind of have a hook, I don't know, it was a bit more restrained. Because let me tell you, his tone of voice really annoys me for most of this album, and it brings me down. So
Yeah.
I didn't like that song, but I don't know the best part of that particular song.
Yeah, if we're gonna talk about just the good things about this album, the guitarist and their drummer are fantastic. I think the biggest redeeming quality of this album is just the instrumentation in the background. For the most part, for most songs, are really good, really dense. They give off different vibes, like in the song, I forgot which one it was. I think it was Sworn Oath. They had a very atmospheric and orchestral vibe, and I think they also change it to where in certain songs where it's just aggressive, like in songs like Chosen Skin, the drums are absolutely brutal in that song. But in other songs like Phantom Self, they had this weird clapping sort of noise in the beginning, which was just I didn't understand why it was there. And I Am the Enemy, where it was just too generic of I guess rock or metal, just generic groove metal, and I didn't find anything unique about that song. But in certain songs, they have really good instrumentation, and it's composed very well as well.
Well, I think their guitarist is quite good, but the only aspect of their instrumentation I'd really single out is the drumming. And I know it's a new drummer, like this is his first or second album with the band, so he's not been around that long, he's not been in the classic era, but honestly, he is the most impressive part of this whole band to me from this. I don't know, I just find the vocalist to be quite disengaging. I don't know, he just sounds really in need of a doctor, a throat doctor in some songs. That's an easy complaint or insult to make of generally any metal vocalist who isn't operatic or clean sounding, but honestly his tonal range on a lot of these songs just really annoyed me. But yeah, the guitars are pretty good. Yeah.
One thing that annoyed me in the song Resistant Parasites, it's such a stupid name for a song, but they had these pausing screams like I am and then it just kept going on, and I just, God, that is overdone in metal. They do that in every album, every song has it, and I think it's just so generic, and it's such an easy way out of extending your song length and turning a 6-second thing into a 16-second thing. And I think that also that doesn't flow well with instrumentation, so it just sounds really weird and really forced, and I hated that in that song.
I hate a lot of things in a lot of these songs. Oh god. I agree completely that I Am the Enemy is a generic thrash, nothing memorable, just sounds like a lot of loudness played fast. It's just got nothing, it's got no finesse, nothing. It's actually memorable in that it's just so singularly bad to me. Oh god. You were talking about the opening of Phantom Self.
Yeah, with the clapping, it was I think I read that they had some sort of Spanish influence on that song, but it didn't really flow with the rest of the song or with the rest of the album, so it just sounded really out of place and weird for me.
That was actually the first time I actually really took notice of how good of a drummer Eloy is. Is that how you say his name? I don't know. Anyway, if you've heard the song Painkiller by Judas Priest,
yes.
It kind of reminded me of a special beats version of that. I'm not saying that to be... It just sounded like a very inferior version, let's put it that way. But considering that's one of the best drum openings ever to a metal song, I'd say this is, still okay in my book. That's probably my favourite song, just because I like the drumming on it. But the thing is, he's a young guy, this Eloy, so I don't know what he's doing in this band, other than the fact they're a known name in the metal, to be honest. But otherwise, it's a paycheck, he may as well stay in.
Yeah, the song Vandal's Nest, I actually wrote no comment because it was just another generic metal song. And I don't know, I think these songs would be better listened to on their own. Listening it to as a complete album was just kind of getting boring as every song went on. And there were certain songs where they had some variation in their stuff, but there just wasn't enough for me to stay engaged the entire time.
Do you like Derek as a vocalist generally?
No, I think the vocals are the thing holding this band back for the most part.
I think they should have done a Audio Slave thing, like when Rage Against the Machine, disbanded, parted their ways with Zach De La Rocca. They formed a new band with all the players, Tom Morello, Tim Comerford, Brad Smith, Brad Welk? Anyway, they formed a band, Audio Slave, obviously very well-known rock band, with Chris Cornell, and they named it a different band. Maybe Sepultura should have done that after Max left, after Roots, because I listened to a few songs actually of them after this with him, and I like them a lot more. I don't know, his vocals are just a bit better to me than Derek's. He's definitely holding this band back. But it doesn't actually help that the songs here aren't actually very memorable anyway. Like, a vocalist, a bad or not that good vocalist, as long as the material's good, the band can still pretty much make a good album, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's just something so unappealing about this album to me. There's not one song I'd call good. There's a couple I'd call okay or half decent, and a lot of them I just really don't like. I just feel like I was ill prepared to listen to this, to be honest.
Anything to put in, Cam?
No, just a little trivia if we got room for it.
Sure, go for it.
Okay, so first off, according to Wikipedia, the last two songs of the album are actually bonus tracks. So that's Chosen Skin and Ultra 7.
Yeah, I did actually hear that somewhere. Like, they're not in the Rate Your Music page for them.
It was annoying.
Well,
and then you asked what exactly Ultra 7 is, and the name of it made me think that it was something Japanese, and it turns out it is. It's the theme song from an old Japanese action show. I don't know, I don't want to get quoted on this, but I think it's one of the ones that either was rolled into or just helped inspire Power Rangers. It's just called Ultra 7, and the theme song was Ultra 7 no Uta. It says it's performed by the Echoes and Misuzu Children's Choral Group was the original, and then I looked up the Echoes, and it says that there's a band called the Echoes who was 60s rock and pop, that kind of band, but I can't tell whether or not they are the same Echoes who recorded this original song. So it's just kind of a weird song to tack on to the end of this album, even for Spotify,
Yeah.
So, what do you think? Who convinced them to firstly record this song? Because why the hell would you record an old school TV theme song? And why did
I have no idea.
Why did they stick it onto this album? Of any album they could have stuck it onto, why this one? This is just a thrash groove metal, alternative metal album, and they stick on this weird hardcore punk rendition of a 70s Power Ranger show.
I'll have to say, it was memorable though, because when I heard it, I was like, what the hell is this? God, I mean, it just, I don't know. I know what you mean. What made them want to do this? Did they have a Japanese fan club where, and that was their dad's favourite TV show, and this is a present to him because he also likes Sepultura? That's not what happened, but yeah, it may as well have been though, because we'll never know.
Yeah, that was probably the most memorable song, only because I just didn't enjoy it at all.
Well, it made me laugh for
Okay,
a bit, which is
fine.
more than the rest of this damn album.
Yeah. So, what would you rate it, Alex?
I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 10 because I didn't really like it. I do admit the drumming was pretty much stellar. The drumming was the only aspect instrumentally I really liked, although I did think the guitar was pretty, good, standard, it carried it. No songs I really liked. I wouldn't return to this specific album, but it does definitely make me think I should try their earlier stuff.
I would definitely
And
recommend
maybe,
their earlier stuff over any of this stuff.
yeah, I mean, Max was a great vocalist, and I don't know why they've stuck with Derek for so long if he's considered this not good. I don't know. Anyway, 4. I didn't like it.
Cam?
I would give it a 6 with the caveat that, the rating could slide up or down depending on, whatever metal I listen to in the future and how much this stacks up to any of it. And I just want to throw in something here real quick. The Ultra 7 show is not related to Power Rangers in any way, shape, or form, but they are in the same genre of TV show, and I just wanted to say that before, it's probably too late already, but before any Power Rangers fans who might be listening to us decide to stone us to death.
Oh yeah, they love us.
There's a Power Rangers movie coming out real soon.
Now we can tag this video with Power Rangers on YouTube, so hey.
All the views will be ours.
I gave this one a 6. I didn't like the vocals at all, and it did take away a lot from this album, but I think the drumming was memorable, and there were a couple songs in which I enjoyed listening to it. Maybe not in the context of the album as a whole, but on its own, I think I would enjoy it maybe a little bit more.
Yeah, because I listened to the song Machine Messiah again, and it was actually not too bad on its own. And it kind of was okay anyway, because it's the first thing you hear, so it's as unconnected to the rest of the album as hearing it by itself. But that wasn't okay. It was actually a bit better than I gave it credit for originally.
Yeah, it's just generic metal, which in this day and age isn't enough to put you over the top.
Well, it isn't even enough to make me remotely like it.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in to Busted Speakers. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed our video. Let us know what you think about this album in the comments below. And check us out on social media.